everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WOCReader, and welcome back to my channel. I've seen a lot of discussion on my timeline lately, so I wanted to sit down and talk about, is being a book content creator actually worth it? So a lot of the discussion I've been seeing recently has been about being a bookish content creator, how the book influencer programs have changed so much recently. Before, you could just email the publisher and see if they get back to you. Sometimes they wouldn't even get back to you, they just send you a book. A lot of times now they want you to join these book influencer programs. You join these programs and they tell you you're only supposed to request books that way, but then a lot of the books that you want are not actually a part of the program. Specifically, if you are looking for diverse books, a lot of Black and brown books are not included on a monthly basis. I know there are a few that I was a part of before that I'm no longer a part of, and I'm not even necessarily mad that I'm no longer a part of because they didn't have a great selection. I was previously a part of Macmillan Audio's program. Well, when I was a part of Macmillan Audio's program, months would go by without me actually requesting a book from the monthly email list they would send out, because each month these programs typically send out a list. These are the galleys you can request. These are the finished copies you can request. It's different depending on what stage the books are in. If we're looking at physical, if we're looking at audio, a lot of times they're sending you NetGalley widgets for things versus the pre-approvals that they used to do, although some still just do pre-approvals where each month you can go in and pick from whatever we have pre-approved. And there are all these different formats, different apps. I do like that they are using some more of the popular apps now, because I hate when it's one of those random apps that you have to download. Like, I have a Gloss account that I never log into because at one point Simon & Schuster Audio was using Gloss before they switched to the more popular Libro FM, which I prefer better. With Libro FM, you go into their hub each month for them, and they have a list of books you can choose from. You have 4 credits to use for books. I'm also a part of Libro FM's audiobook program, so I go in on a monthly basis and I get to choose, I believe it's 10 books from them. So I had been a part of Macmillan Audio program and was barely ever actually getting books because they just didn't have Black books. I was really in it for the Black books, the Latinx books, the Asian books. I wasn't really in it too much for the popular white books, because the popular white books I feel like are already widely accessible. Not only do you see them in the monthly audiobook program, but then you also would see them as a part of Libro FM's program anyway. So if I want to read a popular white book, I usually can get my hands on it. I feel like publishers are definitely more freely giving out copies of white books, because I get them sent to me by Simon & Schuster, for example, unsolicited all the time, like physical books by white authors that I have no interest in whatsoever. And I feel like because a lot of them are LGBTQ, they're like, well, that's all the diversity you need. And I'm like, but no, I want more books by people who look like me too. And I a lot of times do have to actually ask for those books. And people were talking about the work that you put into promoting these books. I, for the most part, have not had any crazy demands in a while. You do come across the pushy publicist every once in a while who's just like, so are you gonna do this? A lot of times when a publisher sends me like, okay, send us coverage, I sent you this book unsolicited, I just ignore those emails, because I'm not going to give you coverage. I don't owe you any kind of content, and that is that. Now, I've done where I'm like, okay, I'll do like an interview with this author because I wanted them to send me another book. So I've done that in the past. I haven't really been doing author interviews. I can't remember when my last one was. It's a lot of like time and effort to put into those, coming up with questions. I am somebody who likes to research the author, see what other interviews they've done, if they've done anything, ask them about their process. I do try to read the book as well, because sometimes when you read the book, you can get better, stronger questions that way. But then the problem was happening where I'm like, okay, I didn't like the book at all. So then I really don't have anything to ask them. So I cooled down from author interviews. I only do them sometimes now, which from 2020 to say like through 2022, I was very consistent. It was basically every month. Then I started to fall off as life got busy. I had my own things going on, like life was lifing. And then I was working on my own writing goals as well. It's just a lot to put into trying to run multiple spaces, because I run a blog, but I also run this channel, and then I still do short form content on Instagram. I still try to be active on Twitter and sometimes Blue Sky, and there's just like so many different moving pieces. Do I make money from this? No, not really. I've gotten the occasional opportunity to get paid, and those were opportunities I was grateful for. I have gotten affiliate money, which is also great too, although I find that in the book community, people don't like to click on links and use people's affiliate links, and I don't understand why, because they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so glad that you recommended this book, let me go buy it, you dropped the link, and they don't really use your link. And affiliate links are one way that people can actually track your influence. In the beauty community, the big companies are able to track their influencers' effectiveness because people use affiliate codes and links. I know when I'm buying indie makeup, I'm always looking for somebody's code because I want a discount. I bought press-on nails the other day because that's been one of my obsessions lately, and I made sure to find a discount code. So it's a little bit easier to track people's influence. When it comes to books, it's harder to see if people bought that book because an influencer told them to. And that was a discussion that came up a couple of years ago when bookstagrammers were complaining because TikTokers were getting paid. Now you're seeing a lot of people who joined TikTok who are like, I'm not getting paid from this, and they want to get paid, and the publishers really don't have their hand out like that. A lot of the people we see in the book community who are getting all these opportunities came from the lifestyle space. I would say around like maybe late 2021 into 2022, a lot of people crossed over from other parts of the internet, mostly the lifestyle space, and decided to become book influencers. And because they already had a big following, that pushed them to the forefront of the book community, to the point where if you go on YouTube and you just put in like booktube, they're the first people that you're going to see. If you go on TikTok, you look at book talk, they're the first people who are getting pushed at you. Those of us who have been around prior to then, it's a lot harder to get our content out there. And so a lot of these people came, they already had these different brand connections. So they had the brands that they were already working with and have continued working with. But then the publishers saw their following, saw that they had people from outside of the book community, and saw that as a way for them to pour money into somebody who they figured would get them more people into this space, because the book community can be very insular and very small. Ultimately, the goal should be to reach a broader audience outside of just this one niche online community when it comes to authors' books. I find that a lot of authors are not looking at the big picture when it comes to that, which is a whole other discussion. But the publisher should be trying to get people who are not just in this online bookish niche The problem is they don't do the best job doing outreach to people outside of this space. And they do heavily rely on free labor. They already don't pay the people who are working for the publisher the wages that they deserve. And they have people doing the job of 2 and 3 people. I know with Disney books, for example, last year, I believe it was, they sold off a lot of their back catalog to Random House, and they had a lot of people leave and go work for other publishers because they were just doing so much. They had the editors also being the ones to approve ARC requests. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever sent an email to Disney Books. It basically goes into the void. They do not answer their publicity inbox for anything. The only time I've had success with getting books from them is when the author had a separate marketing firm that they were working with who was doing mailings for them, or if they connected me to their editor so their editor could send me a copy. And I feel like they are mostly reliant on their IP, so they don't care to really promote their books over there. A lot of publishers, they just have so many different people on their roster every month. So many books just fall through the cracks and they just do not care about promoting them to a wider audience. You look at the social media pages of some of the big 5 and you will notice it's the same books over and over again being pushed. There are debuts. They're lucky if they get one post during their release week. I've seen it time and time again. They really do just rely on the authors to push themselves. When I look on Edelweiss, because that is more geared towards people who are in the industry, I read the key selling points on so many of these books. And a lot of times the key selling point is this author knows this popular author. They know this popular author. They know this popular author. They have this many followers. They are in this space. Whereas I'm sure that the booksellers and the librarians don't really care too much about that, because I've seen them, I've talked to them before and they're like, yeah, we don't really factor into that. But for the publishers, that is a key selling point, because it means we can reach this particular audience without having to spend a lot of money. I see a lot of people say, I'm not getting the brand opportunities I want to as a book content creator. And there's not a lot of brand opportunities to get. These publishers are just not trying to pay people. Why would they pay people when they have people promoting books for free? And it's kind of an interesting discussion to me, because a lot of the people I see complaining about not getting these paid opportunities, I'm like, you don't really make creative content. You talk about books, you post books, yes, but you talk about them in a very neutral way. Like, I follow a lot less bookish people as far as creators now than I did when I first got into this space, because so many people don't know how to talk about a book. They are also trying to be in these authors and these publishers' good graces. They want to be buddy-buddy with the authors. They want to be picked for opportunities with the publishers, so they just wax poetic about these books, even if they did not like it. And you can usually tell they did not love the book the way they claim they do. You can tell when somebody is very passionate about a book and when they're just being serviceable about a book. And so many times I read these reviews and it's just the synopsis restated. So I'm like, you want to be paid to repost the synopsis because you didn't give us an original thought about how you felt about this story. And I see people talking about they want to go to events, they want to be invited to the publisher's office. I'm just like, what do you need to be invited to the publisher's office for? Like, you're not a part of the marketing team. You don't work for the publisher. You're not a decision maker in what they acquire. And most authors don't get to go to their imprint's office why do you want to be in that space? It's either you want to be fully in this, or you just want this special treatment. I feel like if you want to be a book marketer, you should go work for a book marketing firm, or you should create your own. And then you have that opportunity to go to the office to give your input to what they're doing for different campaigns. If that's not your plan, you don't need to be invited to the office. I know most of us came here because we just love books. We found this space because we wanted to talk to other people about books. And for me, that is why I stay in this space, because opportunities come and go, and there really aren't a lot. And they usually pick the same people for those events. If you look at the events that they have, you'll often see the same creators over and over again. And they also have another thing in common. They either live in New York City, which is where these publishing houses are based, or they have access to the Amtrak and they're living on the Northeast. So it's a very short train ride for them to get into New York City. Those are the people who are going to get priority because, again, the publishers don't want to spend a lot of money. So they are going to pick the people who they don't have to pay these extra travel costs for. I think if you are getting into this space for the recognition, to be friends with the authors and stuff, then you should probably just stick to maybe just sharing your books here and there and mostly being offline with it, because you're not going to get that recognition that you think you should get. If you have to just be passionate about sharing stories, you have to be wanting to just make connections with other people, because you're not going to make a lot of money doing book content, especially when you have so many other people doing it. Because unlike before, where you would go online and again, this was only like 6 years ago, you would go online and the only people talking about books were people who were specifically niche focusing on books. Now you have creators who are mostly in the hobby space, but in books is just one of their hobbies. They don't talk about books all the time. They maybe talk about books like once a month or once every 2 months, but they'll make a book video, and so then their videos are getting pushed into the book algorithm too. I see comedians who, again, their main thing is comedy, but they are also talking about books here and there. Everybody, like, regardless of what their niche is, now does book content on the side. So you don't just have these book creators talking about books, you have all these other people, and I've been noticing that arcs are going to those creators because they do have a wider, more diverse audience. And again, the ultimate goal is to try and bring in people who aren't already in this space to get them to make a purchase. So from a business perspective, I do understand that. Does it suck sometimes when those people get recognition over the people who are working their ass off to actually promote books? I know some people who really go out of their way to do stuff in this space and really help authors out. Yeah, it does suck. And I won't deny it sucks, but also you can use this space to try and create more opportunities for yourself in other areas. I've seen people use their book content to get into freelance marketing, where they're not necessarily talking about books, they're talking about other things, but they are using this platform to jumpstart their career in other spaces. And for me, I have made great friends here who really supported me during my toughest time. And I've also been able to use the space to connect with authors and writing partners, because ultimately writing is something I loved long before I picked up a camera. So what are your thoughts about this topic? And if you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!